Have you ever stood in the grocery aisle, completely paralyzed by the simple choice between two brands of pasta? 20 minutes later, you're still there, your cart is empty, and you're having a full-blown existential crisis over fusilli versus penne. Or how about this? You finally get the menu at a restaurant you've been excited to try. Instead of excitement, you feel dread. What if you order the wrong thing? What if the steak is better than the salmon? You poll your friends. You ask the waiter for their life story and culinary preferences. And by the time you order, you're already second-guessing your choice, unable to enjoy the meal. Now, amplify that. The big stuff. Should I take this new job? Should I end this relationship? Should I move to a new city? Should I invest my savings? That feeling, the swirling vortex of what-ifs, the paralyzing fear of making the wrong call, the endless loop of pros and cons that leads nowhere. That's the opposite of a decisive mindset. And it's exhausting. It drains your mental energy, steals your time, and worst of all, it holds your potential hostage. The ancient philosopher Seneca hit the nail on the head when he said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult." Our indecision isn't just about the difficulty of the choice itself. It's about our own fear. We don't dare to choose because we've inflated the stakes of being wrong into a catastrophic event. But what if you could rewire that? What if you could approach every decision, from the trivial to the life-altering, with a sense of calm, unwavering confidence? What if you could unlock a part of yourself that knows how to choose, trusts its own judgment, and moves forward without looking back? That is your potential. A decisive mindset isn't a genetic gift for a lucky few. It's a cultivated skill, a muscle you build. And today, on Align Vista, we're going to give you the blueprint to build it. Welcome. Today, we are unlocking your potential with 5 powerful steps to cultivate a truly decisive mindset. Defining the decisive mindset. Before we build something, we need to understand what we're building. So, what exactly is a decisive mindset? It is not about being impulsive, rash, or stubborn. It's not about ignoring information or bulldozing over other people's opinions. A decisive mindset is the ability to process information efficiently, weigh options with clarity, and then commit to a course of action with conviction, fully accepting the associated risks and outcomes. Let's break down the 3 core pillars of this mindset. 1. Clarity, the ability to cut through the noise and identify what truly matters. It's seeing the forest and the trees, understanding your priorities, and knowing your ultimate goal. 2. Courage, the willingness to make a choice despite uncertainty. It's acknowledging the fear of being wrong, but acting in accordance with your values and the best information you have anyway. 3. Commitment, the resolve to see your decision through without being crippled by second-guessing. It's owning the outcome, whether it's a success or a lesson, and integrating that result into your future choices. I want you to think about a time you were truly indecisive. Maybe it was recently. Recall the physical sensation, the tightness in your chest, the mental fog, the anxiety. Indecision is, biologically, a state of high stress. Your brain is stuck in a loop, burning enormous energy without making progress. It's like pressing the gas and the brake of your car at the same time. You're revving the engine, creating a lot of noise and heat, but you're going absolutely nowhere. A decisive mind shifts out of that stressful loop. It makes a choice, and in doing so, it liberates that mental energy. That energy is then redirected from debating action to taking action. That is where growth happens. That is where potential is unlocked. The best part? This isn't a personality trait you're either born with or not. Neuroscience has shown us the concept of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form, and reorganize synaptic connections, especially in response to learning or experience. Think of it like a path in a forest. The more you walk down the path of hesitation and worry, the more defined that path becomes. It becomes your default route, but you can, through conscious practice, start carving a new path, the path of clarity, courage, and commitment. The first few times will be hard. It will feel unfamiliar, but the more you use it, the wider and clearer it becomes, until eventually, it becomes your new natural way of walking through the world. That's what these 5 steps are designed to do. They are the tools you'll use to carve that new path. Part 3, the 5-step system. Step 1, clarify your core values, the internal compass. The foundation of every decision you make, whether you realize it or not, is your value system. Your values are your internal compass. If you don't know where true north is, how can you possibly expect to navigate? Most indecision stems from a misalignment or a lack of awareness of our core values. We're trying to choose between options A and B based on what society tells us, what our parents expect, what our friends are doing, or what seems superficially more profitable or easier. But if those options don't resonate with what you fundamentally believe in and care about, you will feel stuck, conflicted, and uneasy. Let me give you a relatable life experience. Early in my career, I was offered a promotion. It came with a significant pay raise, a fancy title, and the kind of external validation we're all taught to chase. Logically, it was the right choice, but my stomach was in knots. I couldn't bring myself to say yes. I spent nights agonizing over it. Why? Because I had to get honest with my values. I realized that while achievement and financial security were on my list, higher up were autonomy and creative freedom. This new role would have meant longer hours, more bureaucracy, and less hands-on creative work. I was trying to make a logical pros and cons list, but my indecision was my values screaming. This path takes us away from our true north. The moment I clarified that my core value of autonomy was non-negotiable, the decision became clear. I politely declined the promotion. It was terrifying, but the relief was instantaneous. The indecision vanished because I was now aligned. I had used my compass. So, how do you clarify your core values? This isn't about what you think you should value. It's about discovering what you actually value. Exercise. Discover your core values. 1. The peak experience. Think of 2 to 3 moments in your life where you felt truly fulfilled, proud, and alive. What was happening? Who were you with? What were you doing? Break down those moments. Was it because you were helping others? Service? Was it because you were solving a complex problem? Mastery? Was it because you were surrounded by family? Connection? 2. The negative mirror. Conversely, think of times you felt angry, frustrated, or resentful. Often, our negative emotions are flags that a core value is being violated. If you feel micromanaged at work, it might point to autonomy. If you feel betrayed by a friend, it points to loyalty. 3. The list whittle. Find a comprehensive list of values online. There are hundreds. Integrity, adventure, security, growth, harmony, etc. Circle every one that resonates with you. Don't judge, just circle. Now, whittle that list down to your top 10. Then, your top 5. This is brutally difficult, but essential. Your top 5 values are your decision-making filter. From now on, for any significant decision, run it through this filter. Does this choice honor my top 5 values? If it aligns with multiple values, it's probably a strong yes. If it violates a core value, it's likely a no, no matter how attractive the surface-level benefits seem. This step alone will eliminate about 50% of your indecision. Step 2. Define the ultimate outcome. Begin with the end in mind. With your compass calibrated, you now need to know your destination. Indecision often thrives in a vacuum of ambiguity. We get lost in the which without first defining the why. What is the ultimate outcome you desire? Not just, I need to choose a new job, but I want a role that provides me with enough financial stability to support my family, while also offering flexible hours so I can be present for my kids' activities and utilizes my strength in analytical thinking. See the difference? The first is vague and scary. The second is a target. It gives you criteria to evaluate options against. The renowned author and educator Stephen Covey immortalized this principle as habit 2 in his classic book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. Stephen R. Covey. This means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It's about envisioning the future you want to create so that you can better understand where you are now and ensure the steps you take are always in the right direction. Let's apply this to a common dilemma: choosing a place to live. The indecisive approach. Should I move to the city or the suburbs? Cue endless lists. City is culture but is expensive. Suburbs have space but are boring. The loop continues. The decisive mindset approach. First, define the ultimate outcome. In my ideal life, 2 years from now, what does my home environment provide for me? Your answer might be, it is a calm sanctuary where I can recharge from my high-stress job. It has a community feel where I can make friends easily. It has access to nature for hiking and running. The commute is under 30 minutes. Suddenly, the decision isn't about city versus suburbs. It's about which option best fulfills my defined outcome. The suburbs might tick the calm sanctuary, and nature boxes better. A specific neighborhood in the city might tick the community and commute boxes. You're no longer debating abstract labels. You're measuring concrete options against a concrete vision. How to define the ultimate outcome. Exercise. Envision the outcome. For your current decision, fast forward in your mind. Project yourself 1 year, or even 5 years, into the future. The decision has been made. It has been a resounding success. What does that success look like? Be specific. Use all your senses. What are you doing? How do you feel? Peaceful, energized, proud. What has it enabled in your life? What problems has it solved? Write this down in vivid detail. This narrative becomes your target. Every option you consider must be evaluated on its ability to get you to that specific destination. This transforms decision-making from a stressful gamble into a strategic navigation process. Step 3. Gather enough, but not all information. The 70% rule. This is perhaps the most crucial step in breaking the paralysis of analysis. We live in the information age. We have endless data at our fingertips. This is a blessing and a curse. The curse is that it allows us to believe that if we just research a little more, we can eliminate all risk and guarantee a perfect outcome. This is an illusion. It is impossible. Every meaningful decision in life involves an element of uncertainty. The quest for perfect information is a trap. It's a form of procrastination disguised as diligence. The decisive mind understands the difference between sufficient information and perfect information. This is perfectly captured by the concept of the 70% rule. Often attributed to military leadership doctrine, the idea is that if you have 70% of the information available, have done 70% of the analysis, and feel 70% confident, you should go ahead and make the decision. Waiting for 90% or 100% certainty means you're waiting too long. The opportunity will have passed, or the cost of delay will have become too high. The Japanese fashion designer Satoshi Kondo said it beautifully. If you're 70% sure, just do it. The remaining 30% you will learn along the way. If you wait until you're 100% sure, it will be too late. Satoshi Kondo. Think about a time you spent hours, maybe days, researching consumer reviews for a new laptop. You compared every spec, read every comment, watched every YouTube review. This might have saved you $100 or gotten you a slightly better graphics card. But what was the cost? Those 10 hours of your life you can never get back. The mental fatigue, the delayed gratification. For a high-stakes decision, the cost of delay is even higher. How to apply the 70% rule. 1. Set a time limit. For a small decision, like buying a gadget, give yourself 20 minutes of research. For a medium decision, choosing a vacation spot, maybe an afternoon. For a major life decision, a new job or house, you might allocate a week or two. When the time is up, you must move to a decision. This forces efficiency and prevents endless scrolling. 2. Identify the vital few. Not all information is created equal. Identify the 2 to 3 critical factors that will make or break your decision. For a laptop, maybe it's battery life and processing power for your specific software. For a job, it's culture fit and the role's alignment with your long-term goals. Focus your research laser-like on these vital factors. Ignore the noise. 3. Consult, don't crowdsource. It's wise to seek counsel from a few trusted mentors or friends who know you and understand context. But asking everyone on social media for their opinion will only give you 100 different perspectives, muddying your own clarity. Gather advice to inform your decision, not to make it for you. Remember, the goal is not to be right every time. The goal is to make a good decision with the information available and have the resilience to adapt and learn from the outcomes. Action itself generates new, more valuable information that endless theorizing never can. Step 4. Make the call and embrace the good enough, the point of no return. You have your compass. You have your destination. You have your 70% intel. Now comes the moment of truth, the act of choosing. This is where courage meets action. For the indecisive mind, this is the cliff edge. It freezes. It wants to go back to the safety of gathering more information. The decisive mind knows that the real safety, the real power, lies in the commitment. At this stage, it's helpful to embrace the philosophy of satisficing, a portmanteau of satisfy and suffice. It's a decision-making strategy that aims for a satisfactory or good enough outcome rather than the optimal one. The quest for the single best option is often the enemy of a good option. It leads to misery. Barry Schwartz, in his fantastic book The Paradox of Choice, argues convincingly that an abundance of choices doesn't lead to more freedom and satisfaction, but to anxiety, paralysis, and regret. The maximizer is the person who must scour every option to find the absolute best. They often end up less happy with their choice because they are haunted by the thought of the options they didn't choose. This satisficer, on the other hand, has clear criteria from steps 1 and 2. As soon as they find an option that meets those criteria, they choose it and are happy with it. They don't worry about what might be slightly better. Maximizer versus satisficer. Maximizer exhausts all options, seeks the best, often experiences regret. Satisficer sets standards, chooses the first option that meets them, experiences contentment. Be a satisficer. The ritual of decision. To make the act of choosing more concrete, give it a ritual. For a small decision, literally say out loud, "Okay, I'm choosing A." It's decided. For a bigger one, make it formal. Sign the document. Send the acceptance email. Transfer the money. Make the phone call. Do something that physically and psychologically marks the point of no return. This action closes the loop in your brain. It tells your anxious mind the debate is over. The decision is made. Our job now is not to question, but to execute. This is incredibly liberating. The mental energy that was tied up in the decision is instantly released. You have just unlocked potential energy and converted it into kinetic energy. You are now moving forward. Step 5. Own the outcome and detach from perfection. The laboratory of life. The final step happens after the decision. This is what separates the truly decisive from the merely impulsive. A decisive mindset does not guarantee that every decision will be a wild success. It guarantees that every decision will be a learning experience. You must detach your ego from the outcome. Your decision was not you. It was a hypothesis you tested in the laboratory of your life. If the outcome is positive, fantastic. Celebrate it. Analyze what worked so you can replicate it. If the outcome is negative, this is not failure. This is data. This is the 30% you couldn't have known until you took action. The decisive person does not crumble into regret and say, "See, I knew I should have chosen the other thing." They become a curious scientist. They ask, "What did I learn? What surprised me? Knowing what I know now, how does this inform my next decision? How can I course correct?" This mindset transforms failure from a permanent stain on your identity into a temporary and invaluable result in an experiment. It completely removes the sting of being wrong. The ancient Stoics practiced this thousands of years ago. They focused not on outcomes, which are often outside our full control, but on the quality of their choices and judgments, which are within their control. You made the best decision you could with the information, values, and vision you had at the time. That is all anyone can ever do. The outcome is a mixture of your action and a million other external factors. On your part, learn from the rest, and let it go. This practice of non-attachment is what allows you to make decisions faster and more confidently in the future. You lose the fear of being wrong because being wrong has been redefined as learning. This is the ultimate unlock for your potential. Part 4. Putting it all together and conclusion. So, let's bring it all home. Here is your 5-step system to cultivate a decisive mindset. 1. Clarify your core values. Discover your true north. Your values are your non-negotiable compass. 2. Define the ultimate outcome. Begin with the end in mind. Know your destination before you choose your path. 3. Gather enough information. Use the 70% rule. Seek sufficient intel, not impossible perfection. Set time limits. 4. Make the call. Embrace satisficing. Choose the good enough option that meets your criteria and commit to it with a definitive action. 5. Own the outcome. Detach and learn. Treat every result as data, not a definition of your worth. This is a system. Practice it with small decisions first. Choose your lunch decisively. Choose a movie to watch tonight and don't second guess it. Build a muscle. Then, apply it to the bigger things. Cultivating a decisive mindset is the master key that unlocks all other potential. It frees up your mental RAM, allowing you to focus on execution and excellence. It builds self-trust. It commands respect. It allows you to steer the ship of your life, rather than being tossed around by the waves of doubt and indecision. The poet Mary Oliver asked, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" You can't answer that question if you're perpetually stuck at the crossroads. The world needs your contributions, your ideas, your art, your leadership. But none of that can manifest while you're paralyzed in the pasta aisle. Choose, act, learn, repeat. This is how you align your Vista with your highest potential. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, please give this video a like. It helps the channel immensely. Subscribe to Align Vista and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into personal mastery. Now, we'd love to hear from you. In the comments below, tell us, what's one small decision you've been putting off that you're going to make decisively today using this system? Share your experiences. Your story might be the nudge someone else needs to make their own decisive leap. Remember, the path to 1,000 miles begins with a single, decisive step. Take that step today. Until next time, see you on the path.